your boy Gabriel Hodder.
Matthew Oman, we are all fight, no flight, primal fear.
And you're watching BJ and DG Talk Wrestling. Yeah!
Welcome back, everybody. A lot of wrestling to get to this week. BJ here, DG there.
What's going on, everybody?
As always, sometimes Chef the Ref.
Hola.
As always, sometimes.
Let's go.
It's one of those sometimes.
Wow, what a week in wrestling, right?
Indeed. So we've got WWE to recap. We got a little TNA to talk. And let's start off at the top with AEW and our predictions for Dynasty tonight. So, Danger Ginger, why don't you run us down the card there?
I was just going to say real quick, decent shows this week for AEW. Like, I felt like they did okay going. Could have been better, but, you know, the nice whole swerve and Mox thing at the end of the show with the glass. And then before that, the Adam Page swerve face-to-face was very interesting, where Swerve admitted that he deserved to have his house burnt down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a surprise to hear.
But, yeah.
And then Page didn't know how to respond. He just walks away.
Like he went in there angry, telling this man, "You're never winning a world title." And then they start arguing, like, "You deserved it." Yeah, you're right. I did deserve it. I'm angry because I don't know why I'm angry at you, and just storms off. Completely.
Wow.
That was just a good moment. You know, you pull moments out of shows. That's ones where you just clip out, just like, oh, that was greatly entertaining, and somehow finally maybe gives us some resolve to that story between them. Maybe to a point, what if he comes out and helps Swerve tonight?
It's possible.
Right.
But we could talk more about that. You just want a quick rundown of the cards you said for tonight?
Yeah, let's give us that, and then we'll go into our predictions.
All right, well, for 0 Hour, you have Max Caster's Open Challenge, which he has yet to win one.
All right, I'll give a prediction right there for that one. I don't think Max is winning this one either.
But here's the interesting thing. Who do you think the mystery opponent is? Who accepts his Open Challenge?
No idea. Not a clue. It could be literally anyone.
Be anyone. It doesn't have to be anyone within the company. You know, it could be a debut, could be a legend.
There's a rumor that Josh Alexander could be debuting tonight.
That would be an interesting.
All right.
But to have him debut on the pre-show or on that would be weird.
Hey, have him debut for free. That way you get his debut for free, and you put him against Max. It's a guaranteed win, and he looks strong.
I was thinking maybe along the lines of a Billy Gunn or Anthony Bowens.
I was thinking Bowens. That was the first thing that came to mind.
You know, that would because we haven't really seen him with all this.
And he did get mentioned this past week, so
yeah. Samuel, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Sam?
But yeah, I definitely agree. Max Caster loses this to the mystery opponent. Max Caster or the field? I'm taking the field.
Yeah, always.
What if it's Ellsworth?
I'm definitely taking Ellsworth. Somehow he wins that still. You know, now if we're talking about if it was like Gilbert, then he might have a chance. We're talking about the greatest losing streak in wrestling history. But yeah, so
also one of the greatest light heavyweight champions of all time.
One of the longest reigning, if not the longest reigning.
Yes, I believe he still holds that record.
Yeah, and then the other match for 0 Hour they have is Nick Rain and crew, who is Action Andretti and Leo Rush, going up against Top Flight and AR Fox. This match was kind of set up this past week, I think, on Collision.
Yeah.
We got the full setup for it. Thoughts? Who do you think wins this one? Do we even care who wins this
I feel
one?
like
I guess
Crew
that's the
gets
bigger
this one.
question.
I feel like they're trying to. What's the bigger question?
Do we even care who wins this match? Because there was no excitement whatsoever there,
I didn't catch the build up on Collision.
You ask a lot of fans on the internet, neither did anybody else. I was one of like 10 fans watching live, That's if you ask the IWC, which I think unfortunately we're part of, but I guess we're still on the good part of it.
That's what they all think, I guess.
But yeah, so BJ, you said you had Nick Wayne and crew. Who you got there, Chef?
Yeah, I got the same. Yeah, it seems like they're trying to build up the crew into something. So one of the best ways to do that is have them win.
I'm pretty much in agreement here with this as well. I think somehow they pull it off because there has been a slow build with them. To what? Who knows? But something's building there.
Yeah.
So then, at this moment,
Rush can do it.
Yeah. So now on to the main card. The first match, Kenny Omega defending the International Championship against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. This is a match I'm personally looking forward to seeing.
Oh yeah. This is going to be.
I expect a burner.
Yeah.
Who do you think comes out on top here?
That's tough. I think Omega retains. I feel like it's just not time for him to lose the strap. And while both of these guys are legit contenders, I don't think it's time for either of them to hold gold.
And this is what Mike Bailey's third match in AEW. It's going to be.
So it's good for him. Ricochet's barely been here.
I mean, more interesting is who is it that takes the pinfall? Because Bailey, who just debuted, you're not going to want to pin him so soon.
Right. I think it'll be Ricochet.
I mean, I could see something here where this match plays out in a very weird way at the end, especially given how Bailey and Ricochet both got into the match with a double pinfall. I could see something weird happening, or them two fighting and Kenny Omega just takes advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah. I feel like the feud is more between the two of them. Both the flippy guys. Omega's just kind of let them beat each other up and take advantage when the time is right, I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely see Kenny retaining as well.
See, I think Ricochet wins this one. I feel like it's Ricochet's time to win a belt in the AEW. I think Kenny, I'm not sure that Kenny takes the pin. I think Bailey probably actually. I understand that it's only his third match. Maybe you don't necessarily want him taking the pin, but I don't think it really will hurt him to take a pin in this match. So I think Ricochet wins and he pins Bailey to do it.
All right. I mean, I guess pretty much in this, we somehow see one of these guys not taking a pinfall. It would be a good way to get the belt off Kenny without pinning him.
And then you can get a one-on-one match against Kenny and Ricochet for the rematch because Kenny never took the pin. He says,
Kenny does take the pin. Like Speedball has it won against Omega, and Ricochet, being the typical heel, eliminates Bailey, steals the pinfall. So Bailey doesn't take the pinfall. And you get the belt off Kenny. You put him on Ricochet. You could do a quick one-off rematch before moving on to Speedball and Ricochet feud.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Was that the traditional spill?
No, not yet.
All right.
I just dropped my phone from an inch. I went to pick it up and dropped it.
Good job.
Yeah.
So next, the AEW Tag Team Championship match with the Hurt Syndicate defending against the Learning Trees, Big Bill and Brian Keith, the Bad Apple. I think Hurt Syndicate retains. Like,
I mean, that one's almost too much of a no-brainer. Some part of me is like, maybe Big Bill and Brian Keith. No, they hurt people.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is hard to get all the way. Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, they're a well-oiled machine as a tag team right now at this point. And yeah, they are not giving up those belts to Big Bill and Brian Keith.
No, I definitely agree with that. So, real quick, something announced on Dynamite this week were the brackets for the Owen. And just to run down the matches real quick, we have Will Ospreay and Kevin Knight, which we will be seeing tonight as one of the matches. One of the other matches we see tonight, Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher. We have Brody King and Takeshita. And then Adam Page and a wild card. That was announced for the men's side. The women's side has Jamie Hayter and Billy Starks as one of the matches. Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander. Julia Hart versus Mercedes Moné, which we see tonight. And then Harley Cameron versus Athena. Like, not bad brackets, I'm going to say. Like, I like the tournament setup for it. And so with that, leading in to one of the three matches I believe we see tonight with the Owen, Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart in the first round. Chef, who you got here?
Sad but true. It's going to be Mercedes Moné here. Yeah. Julia Hart, she's a good competitor, but they're not putting her up against Mercedes with the intention of Mercedes losing this one.
Yeah, would love to see her get a push, but this isn't how it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree, but I would love for Julia Hart to win this and at least go on to the next round. But
my heart is with Julia.
See what you did there.
Thank you.
But my money
is with Monet. Yes.
Moving on.
Yeah, clip that.
Type of people I gotta deal with.
Hey, you choose to.
Unfortunately. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe for the men. Now, just real quick, let's just remember during the Continental Classic tournament, Mark Briscoe, who had no wins, beat Kyle Fletcher in his last match, I believe, or second to last match during the Classic. So Mark Briscoe already holds a tournament win over Kyle Fletcher, even though that's more round robin. I think that's what it is.
It starts as a round robin tournament, and then it moves into the quarter semis, all that.
So BJ, who you got? Kyle Fletcher or Mark Briscoe?
As much as I love Briscoe, he's been losing a lot lately, and it almost seems like he's only there to lose. I don't think they're going to push him right now. I don't think he wins. I'm thinking Fletcher.
I agree myself. I think Kyle Fletcher wins this, but the one thing I'll say, Mark Briscoe might lose, but he loses in spectacular fashion.
Oh, God, yeah. He makes losing look really good.
Chef, who you got?
I'm agreeing with you guys. I think that Kyle Fletcher wins this. Briscoe might have a tournament win over Kyle Fletcher, but it was during that time where Fletcher was doubting himself and he was having a lot of issues, and Callis helped him work through that, came out the other side. Different guy. He's a totally new wrestler now, and the Proto Star is going to walk out of this one with the win.
All right, so we all have Kyle Fletcher. So then next, for the TNT Championship, no time limit, No outside interference. Daniel Garcia defending against Adam Cole, baby. I personally have Adam Cole winning this. I think that the way this has happened, that Daniel Garcia has never beaten Adam Cole. And Adam Cole's always had problem with Daniel Garcia. But it seems like he might know how to get past him, because in the last match they had, it ended in a time limit draw. If that match had 5-10 more seconds on it, we're looking at a new champion.
Mm-hmm.
So going by recent history, I'm going with Adam Cole.
Agreed. It's all about that boom, baby.
It's undisputed.
So this next match, I had to put a little bit of thought into, and that's the Ring of Honor World Championship match, title versus mask. Chris Jericho defending against Bandito. Yeah, it's one of those ones where any other time you might just go Chris Jericho, right? But I don't feel like in this case that's something to just be like, oh yeah, Chris Jericho's going to win this. I actually think Bandito wins the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Yeah.
I don't see him losing the mask.
I could see that happening, definitely. That's more likely than him losing the mask. Unless he loses, they take his mask off, and he has a second mask underneath.
They never said which mask he has to lose.
And then he's like, all right, see you later. Just leave. Now, that's the only way I could see him losing this match, honestly.
But yeah, I mean, Chris Jericho does have a history of taking masks, though, too.
True.
This wouldn't be the first wrestler he's defeated and gotten their mask. He did it to Hoovy in WCW in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. And Kalisto. Well, no, that's not what happened. Never mind. He just wore a Kalisto mask.
Yeah.
And then he wore a Penta mask, too, right?
Remember when... Do you remember when DDP wore the...
Go on back there.
Thanks for sending us off the rails just with a sound effect. We've been doing so good. Got Looney Tunes in the background. So
with DDP with Psychosis.
Yeah, and he did the La Parka, and he does the La Parka dance and everything. Oh, I just saw a video of that online yesterday or something like that.
Jericho also, didn't he dress as one of the other? Wasn't it Psychosis or La Parka that Jericho dressed as?
Yeah. No, it was Dean Malenko that did it and pinned him to get a cruiserweight title shot.
That's right. Yeah.
But he dressed like one of the C tier luchas they had at the time. But anyway, we all have Bandito here. All right. Moving on for the AEW Trios Championship. The Death Riders, Pac, Yuta, and Claudio defending against Rated FTR. This could be a very interesting match.
Not so much because of the Death Riders, but because of the other group on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of the story that's been told there recently.
I think the Death Riders retain to advance that story between FTR and Edge.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the way FTR and Edge they're not on the same page at all. The only two that are even close to being on the same page are Edge and Cash, but Cash is so far off of a page with Dak that he's not.
They appeared to be on the same page on Collision this week.
Did they though?
Yeah.
I missed Collision, so. But yeah, the last that sit down interview with the three of them where they decided to go for the trios titles did not seem like they were on the same page at all. Like Dax wanted to get back to their tag team 2-man roots, and they're like, let's go for this. And what? No, why? Why are we doing this? No, you're not listening to anything I'm saying. So yeah, I don't feel like they're on the same page right now. I think that's going to be an issue, and I don't think they get the championships because of it. I don't know if it's just like a simple miscommunication or if Dax just finally has enough and just decides to forget and just leaves in a handicap match or something like that. But yeah, no, I don't see the Death Riders losing this, and Edge and FTR have a whole series of repercussions to deal with afterwards.
See, I'm kind of on that same page, but I still have rated FTR winning and having the inner turmoil, having the championships, and being forced to work together still.
Interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. That sounds amazing.
Like the idea of, hey, Edge trying to keep this trio together. They're trying to preserve a tag team, and he's kind of the vocal point of why one can't do what he thinks they should be doing. It's instant. You're bringing a whole lot of story into that to where now we're going to have those titles actually back on TV again and not be an afterthought. Because it seems like when championships go to the Death Riders, they become afterthoughts. At least the belts do.
Yeah, they get ridden to their death.
But I think that there's a bigger story to be told with obviously because of the AEW World Title, but a lot of the focus now should be just put on him having to do what he has to do to retain that championship, and them having the trios titles does nothing for him. Does nothing for the Death Riders. It does nothing for the championships. To where having rated FTR in upfront storyline holding those championships reminds fans like, hey, these do exist,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm loving the idea of the inner turmoil between rated FTR storyline.
So it doesn't mean it's going to be a long reign. But it's a team that's credible to beat the Death Riders, who's been feuding with them. And then, hey, they could go focus on other things because now they could go chasing singles titles if they want.
Yep.
So now, if FTR and Edge do get the win here, who do you think gets the pin? Because that could cause some friction.
I think Cope gets the pin. To give him that moment, because now that puts even more blame on him because he's the one that won the match. Like, look, we wouldn't be in this situation with these championships if he didn't win the match, if he didn't bring us into this. As we were trying to go back to our roots. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a long they could turn around, defend the titles on Wednesday, and instantly drop them.
Yeah.
Because then you have FTR turn on Cope, and maybe we get him and Christian back together as a team, because it seems like the little family thing going on over there is breaking apart. Nick Wayne kind of stood up for himself, and now he's off doing his own thing.
Yep.
So, if that's splitting
and when we saw
apart.
Luchasaurus.
Who?
Oh, I mean Kill Switch.
I thought that was a band.
Engage.
But yeah, I definitely like the idea of rated FTR at least winning the titles. Let's get those titles at least back out there in front of everybody to be seen.
Yeah.
And we've seen the reluctant tag team champions storyline so many times throughout the years, but we've never seen the reluctant trio champion story.
mean, it's still the same. It's just interesting considering where each person wants to go with everything.
Right.
So then we got 2 more matches. Timeless Toni Storm defending her AEW Women's Championship against Megan Bayne. This one I'm kind of conflicted with because I think it's too early for Megan Bayne to be in this spot in AEW, considering she's only had a handful of matches. It's been around, maybe 2 months now?
Yeah.
And that Toni Storm just won the championship back not all that long ago. Because me, as a fan, I want Toni Storm to retain because I'm a Toni Storm fan. I'm a fan of the timeless Toni Storm gimmick. But it's also hard to choose against
that you like to put up all the time.
Oh, you mean this one? No, that's not it. Maybe it's this one. Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah, that's the one.
But yeah,
I
so
get it.
Who you got over there, BJ?
I would hate to see this just be a transitional championship reign for Toni Storm, but I think that's what it is. Megan Bayne, what you had said, like, her only having been around for a few months and had a few matches, like, she's that dominant looking and she's already pinned her,
I mean, and if you've watched GCW or you're into a lot of indie stuff, you already know who Megan Bayne is and what she is capable of doing. Like, not only is she one of the bigger, like, the monsters in the women's division and in women's wrestling, but almost Brock Lesnar-esque. She uses the F5, or at least a version of it. She's pretty unstoppable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want Toni Storm to win, but I can definitely see a world where Megan Bayne takes it. And honestly, Toni Storm kind of thrives on a little bit of drama too. So maybe if Megan Bayne does win it, then Tony's got her next award-winning masterpiece in the works.
True.
Or is beating Megan Bayne the masterpiece? Because whoever wins this is most likely going to go to All In Texas as champion up against the winner of the Owen for the women.
Think Rocky 3.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there another?
Megan Bayne comes in as Clubber Lang, Yeah.
I'm just saying. But in the rematch, if you were going to get it back to Toni Storm, it all has to happen before July.
Yeah, it can. Plenty of time until July. We're only in April.
Or does Toni Storm get amnesia again and forget that she's now a 4-time AEW Women's Champion?
Oh no, she knows who she is.
For me, like I have Megan Bayne winning this. Put the belt on her. Like, I think it's a mistake, but I don't think it's a horrible mistake, like putting your championship on somebody and never showing the championship.
Did we get to the other Owen Cup tournament match?
Yes, we covered
No, the Osprey one?
Oh no, I might go. No, we didn't, so we will talk about that next. So I have Megan Bayne.
I think I have Megan Bayne too, although I wouldn't mind seeing Tony keep it, but I think
I want Tony to win it still. I mean, maybe it's a screwy type finish. Maybe we get Camilla back. And you have both these women on your roster who should realistically be having matches with each other. You should be working up something where there is some collision between them.
Let's see what you did there.
Dynamite.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't on purpose, but I guess this has to be shown because of it. But yeah, so in the other
Don't make me go on a rampage.
Nah, that got canceled. So on the other Owen Hart tournament match for the men, we'll see is Will Ospreay, and taking the place of Switchblade Jay White will be Kevin Knight, who just recently made his debut. And I will say he's been impressive to see so far.
Not impressive enough to beat Ospreay.
Oh, no, because
Ospreay all day.
I'm about to say, if anybody knows my opinion, Will Ospreay's the best wrestler in the world right now.
Yeah.
Him and Zack Sabre Jr.
But he's not the best wrestler alive.
He's not even the best wrestler alive. But yeah, I definitely got Will Ospreay in that one too.
Same.
And then on to the AEW World Championship match with Jon Moxley defending against Swerve Strickland. I think Swerve wins this. I feel like there's no reason why Swerve shouldn't win this.
He's a former champion. He's hot right now.
And on top of that, if there's anybody who can measure up to the violence that Jon Moxley can do, it's Swerve. They come from that same background. They were on the same circuits together in the Northeast, coming up in the Indies, doing all the crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason why Swerve shouldn't win this finally. Let's get these championships off the Death Riders.
I would be happy for that to happen. Unfortunately, I don't see it happening. I think Moxley seems to have a death grip on this thing, and I don't think he relinquishes it anytime soon. Would love to see Swerve get it back, but I think he just goes out there and just rages and gets nothing for his efforts.
I mean, if I'm looking at it, though, if there's anybody who on a mental side can match up against Mox's violent side, it is Swerve.
Yeah.
You know, and like
do we see the Death Riders?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're going to see them in some way, shape, or form, which is another thing to think about. Hey, after the interaction with Adam Page this week, what if Page comes out and helps him? We still got enemies out there for the Death Riders. We have Willow after that mixed tornado tag and that nasty spot, and then that DDT for her to come out and help somehow. Like we're looking at like a bloodline style match, you know, because that's what the Death Riders matches are kind of booked as every time.
I was about to say, I could see this turning into like the Cody Roman match from last year at WrestleMania, where one person comes out, next person comes out, one person comes out, next person comes out, until we've exhausted everybody. And then, yes, I could see Swerve winning at the end of that, like Cody did. But I'm not sure that it happens that way. I think that like the Death Riders come out in their overwhelming numbers, and Paige may come out, but may do whatever damage she can, but I don't see it happening.
You know, I really think that if anybody can do it, it's Swerve. I'm just surprised this match doesn't have some type of special stipulation to it.
Yeah.
You know, to be able, like, you're in Philly, you have the perfect opportunity, even though you just did a street fight, up the ante somehow, make this some type of other violent match.
Yeah. And that's another way it could end, by DQ. Like Moxley gets himself DQ'd and he keeps the belt.
If that happens in Philly, the Leocore Center isn't going to be there for a Temple to play any more games in. And there's going to be a rescue effort for the building collapsing in on everybody from the amount of booze. Almost that would be worse than what Charlotte got this week on SmackDown.
Oof. Well, we'll get to that.
So not just with this match, but with the whole night. Do you think we see any surprises not as far as like match results, but like any surprise appearances?
I think there's a chance that we see a Josh Alexander appearance. Possible debut at some point through the night. If not, I expect that to be very soon because apparently he's been signed for a short time now and they just haven't gotten to his debut yet. I think he could be the mystery person that Paige faces in the tournament as well. So if that match were to happen on Wednesday, because I think that was originally going to be the Kevin Knight spot if they were going to have him in the tournament, and now you just shift gears a little bit.
Right, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Otherwise, I don't know if we're going to see, maybe we see some type of return, but I really don't know who.
Yeah, I have no
Or
idea.
debut.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know who would be potentially debuting tonight.
At the most, it would be Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
So I haven't really
That would be
heard.
cool, but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him debut against Max Caster tonight. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. So we got through all that stuff. I think we made history for the first time ever, opening up with AEW. Hopefully, our ratings didn't go into the dirt.
It's a new
What
era in
ratings?
wrestling.
But, it is now time to move on to everything. And since I brought it up, let's talk about that Tiffy and Charlotte segment from this week. Let's start off with that.
Apparently, it never happened according to the replay.
But
Luckily,
if
it
you
was on
ask
my
the
DVR.
USA on the USA Network social media pages at one point was the only place to see it in its full, where the back end wasn't clipped off of that promo, because how much I don't bring up a lot of dirt sheet type stuff. There's apparently been a lot of news floating around that it was Charlotte who originally went off script, getting rocked by that Chicago crowd just booing her. She got Dominic Mysterio heat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he deserves every bit of it.
But as we were talking before the show, and I said it, is that if it's one thing I've never seen Charlotte happen to her, is being rocked by a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Usually she can handle those boos, and that crowd just could tell what it made her go off script, apparently. And she went the wrong direction, because a week ago, we're talking about, hey, well, this was recorded. Maybe they wanted Tiffy to look weak. They did not want Charlotte looking weak this time around. And quite literally, our babyface said 0-3 about her divorces and everything, and rolled out the ring like a heel. And the Chicago crowd ate the entire thing up. Like, if we're going just by the last couple weeks of stuff, I would say Tiffy's winning this feud right now, and is even more likely looking to possibly walk out of WrestleMania still the women's champion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think Tiff still will be the women's champion after WrestleMania. I don't have any doubt about that. Charlotte, yes, she's great, but she's well past her prime as far as being a wrestler is concerned. And apparently she might be even past her prime when it comes to hanging with some of the younger talent on the mic in front of a crowd when they're starting to boo at you. I mean, Dominic, you hear how he gets booed. Yeah, he might have gotten a little bit settled into getting booed and talking around it. Charlotte, never happens to her. She didn't know what to do. She got that energy for sure.
If it's one thing I'll say, though, at least Dominic goes out there and expects it. That even me watching that happen, I didn't expect her to get that much heat. Like, even in Chicago, like, that heat was insane. And it's almost like you would expect the crowd maybe start slipping and sliding with her after what happened in their little promo vignette thing from last week. No, the crowd was completely on Tiffy's side the entire time. Like, this was a bit of
point. So with it being in Chicago, if it had been in a different spot, let's say it had happened in like Raleigh or Charlotte, North Carolina, different reaction, do you think, to what was going on in the ring?
Yeah, well, I think that becomes something different because now you're putting her in front of her hometown fans. Like, let's put them both someplace like, say they're in Utah, right?
Somewhere
Okay.
neutral.
Yeah,
A
you
more
know,
neutral location.
yeah, maybe they're in Seattle, right?
Are they
Is that
sleepless?
maybe? Who knows? But does that crowd boo the same way and get her off her game? Because
Probably
Charlotte, if
not.
she's the first to go off script, that just brings the potential of the idea that Tiffy was more on point and went with the top things going off her head that completely owned her in the situation, which I thought was a bit of a low blow. But, at this point, it's also the idea that we're seeing something as of fans don't want to see Charlotte in that spot. We don't care that she's back. We don't care that she's wrestling. We just don't want to constantly see her in the championship picture, a lot like John Cena 15 years ago, where no matter what happened, John Cena was always in a WWE championship match.
Mm-hmm.
As Thrash said, something similar to what I just said, and also something he said about Chicago being that, like, they're not exactly neutral. Like, that's why I didn't say like a Philly, an LA, or a New York. Like, the more
Chicago
ruckus
is
cities,
Vocard.
yeah, if they don't like something, they will let you know.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to make Charlotte, or hopefully they're not trying to make Charlotte into like Roman Reigns 10 years ago. Where it's like, oh, you want this person to win the Rumble? Roman won. You want this person to be the champion? Roman won. Well, suffer and succotash, yeah. Like, that's that's what they're. I hope that that's not what they're doing with Charlotte right now.
I mean, I get it that, when you look at her record on paper and stuff, no, nobody will say she doesn't deserve to be at a top spot in the car. We just don't want to see you constantly in the title picture. Maybe we want to see somebody get the best of you for a bit. And that, hey, there's a hurdle you actually have to jump, like Rhea Ripley not being able to defeat Io Sky.
I want to see her lose confidence altogether. And
Yeah.
break down. And maybe not go like dark Charlotte, but maybe like, have a new perspective, have a new like.
And which it seems like that's a narrative that they might not have been planning on telling. But now they could shift to that after WrestleMania. Tiffany beats her. And now she is now back at the bottom of the rung. She is not the first to get considered for a championship match. She has to earn her way back. And maybe it comes something where she's like, I need to prove it to myself that I'm the best now.
Say like a week after Mania, she loses to BFAB.
My God. Please?
Like, right? Like.
No. Can she lose to like somebody in NXT?
I think BFAB is worse.
No, I mean somebody who has. All right, what about somebody on LFG or Evolve?
Yeah.
Let Charlotte get pinned by Kylie Ray.
This was amazing right here.
Yeah. Oh, I think I actually hold on. I haven't clicked over to my notes yet for it, which now I am. Yeah. I actually made note of that line. But of everything said at the end, oh, you're 0-3 in divorces, rolls out the ring. Oh, yeah, that's why Ludwig's in my DMs. And then his response.
Ludwig comes back. Yeah.
Don't flatter yourself. Yes. Oh, so perfect. So perfect.
Heartbreak Kaiser.
Right? I'd love to hear the song in a German accent.
Quickly, other thing.
Kaiser.
Well, speaking of BFAB, she got beat by Naomi, but boy, did Jade leave a bump on Naomi's head, and we get officially made for WrestleMania. Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Just wanted to bring that up real quick as we were going through that. Other small things
Revenge
real
of
quick.
Jade.
Another announcement we had made this week on SmackDown. Women's tag team gauntlet match with the winner going on to face Liv and Raquel at WrestleMania. It looks like, all things considered, that Triple H is trying to have every championship defended this year, which at WrestleMania, that's how it should be.
That's how it should be.
Absolutely.
A couple
I
grudge
think-
matches, every title.
Yeah. Motor City Machine Guns defeating DIY to become #1 contenders.
Really good.
And speaking of #1 contenders, why we are on SmackDown still to cover a lot of that stuff. The last man standing match, last man standing #1 contenders match for the United States Championship between Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu.
Match lived up to everything it was supposed to be.
Yeah, two meaty men slapping meat.
Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely loved it. Like that. Like
And-
usually I'm always doing something while wrestling's on. And there's times where I'll pause where I know I don't have to be directly looking at the TV. That was one thing where I was doing nothing else but watching that match.
My thing is, I'm thinking of like booking wise, like, okay, how are they going to do this? Because Fatu's obviously going to win, but how are they going to do it? You know what I mean? Or maybe, and I'm thinking also maybe he doesn't win, but how are they going to do that? The ending was great. The ending was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it was kind of more obvious than what I was thinking, but like, it really worked out well. Both of them down. Fatu makes it up, barely able to stand.
Yeah. But all right, so yeah, I really do think though that how much we kind of agreed last week about Jacob Fatu and not necessarily needing gold, and that he could get the booking of like Cody Rhodes had after WrestleMania 39. He was essentially booked as a world champion without a world championship around his waist. And but I think we could be looking at him getting his first taste of WWE gold at WrestleMania. And it's going to be something that's going to be exciting to see.
Anytime Fatu's
Oh,
in
yeah.
the ring, I'm watching. I'm stopping what I'm doing and I'm watching.
Yeah. Other things on SmackDown, we had the debut of Fenix.
That was a fun match. Glad to see Ray in WWE finally after his AEW contract was let go finally.
Yeah, right.
Took long enough. Interesting seeing him. Well, Penta obviously came in first, so he was stuck doing solo. But the decision to keep them separated from being a tag team for a while, I like it. You know, let's see what they got as singles guys before we reunite
I
them,
mean,
which is going to
as
happen
great
at
as
some point. They keep talking about them.
Yeah, as great of a tag team as they are, they're just as good in singles competition.
Yeah.
Like if
Oh, yeah.
if,
We
if you
saw it
watched
in
any of their past stuff when they weren't necessarily in the same company or the same storylines together. I really enjoyed the match with him and Nathan Frazier. I thought it was a good way for to showcase both guys. Like
Yeah,
Nathan Frazier really got some really good TV time out of that coming up from NXT.
I actually turned it on a little bit late and I was like, who is this? Karrion Kross? Like I couldn't see his face. I could just see the hair. Yeah, it took me a minute.
A little small for Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
Well, but
Well,
then
short
again,
for a
I'm
short
thinking
trip.
like because Penta's big, so I'm thinking I know I've seen Fenix, but I'm thinking like Phoenix is a little bit bigger, so it makes sense. But I mean, I realized that at some point. Yeah,
All
I
right,
figured it out
so-
in like 2 minutes.
yeah.
Ago.
So I think it
At
would
first,
be
I thought it was AJ actually.
so I think now would be maybe a good time for us to take a quick break. You know, maybe show some clippage here.
Clips.
Sure.
On
What do we got
Spokecast this
today?
past week, they showed they did the watch along for Griffin McCoy versus JP Grayson from Key to the City. So I figured that we'll show the highlights from ringside of that exact same match.
Let's do it.
Oh!
Hey, little girl! Hey! We're on top guy time!
Whoop whoop! Whoop whoop! One, two, three.
We're back. I see you all.
It's Ludwig Borga.
Coming for you. Coming for you. That was weird. Appears DG has turned into a blockhead.
You could say I'm the missing link.
Let me tell you about Hulk Hogan.
Let me tell you.
He's
about
he's a
hell.
jabroni.
He burns in hell.
Nah, man, you did it wrong. You gotta do like the whole. So anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Action
we're back.
Frank.
Let's see. Well, oh yeah, the other. Do you want to talk about how SmackDown ended, or you want to save that for a little bit still?
We can talk about how SmackDown ended. That was a hell of a promo main event.
You know what? Before we get to that, hold on, we still do something else. KO and Randy Orton match now is not happening at WrestleMania due to a KO neck injury sustained. What do you say, about 4 months ago? So if we kind of do the math, January. So the ladder match or the Saturday night?
Not the ladder match. No, it was either the match against Rey Mysterio or there was one other match that he had.
Well, regardless of all the matches he's had since then, it seems like this was a legit injury because usually they don't go out to go that far out of their way as a heel to cut the babyface promo.
Right.
But wow, so we get KO's heartfelt promo. We get Randy coming out. Looks like he tells them as they're on the apron, go get your neck fixed, you know. We get the announcement from all this.
All about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We get Randy in the ring with Aldis. Aldis tells him, unfortunately, he has no match now at WrestleMania. And Orton RKO's Aldis. Now, I don't know if anybody remembers, but, you know, the internet helped to remind us that about a year and a half ago, after Orton had RKO'd him before, he was fined $50,000. He gave him $100,000 and told him to take it as a deposit for the next one. And now at least Randy Orton isn't $50,000 out of pocket again, right?
One thing I want to get to before that is if you're going to a wrestling show.
Oh, the fan. I didn't want to really give him time, but
and you're sitting close enough and you're sitting in the front, don't insult the wrestlers. Like, yeah, boo them, like mock them. But in that situation, like, read the room, dog. Like,
yeah.
You know, have some respect. Like, yeah, boo the heels, say your funny things and everything. But when it's something that serious that, like, was pretty obviously, like, not a work, like, it was pretty obviously, like, he's going to be gone for a long time. Who do these people think they are? You know, in a moment like that.
Yeah, that fan, this was the one situation where I will say KO was right.
Yeah.
He had the right to say something. He was right. And heel Mark's not here to hear that.
He would be popping right.
So, do we think that we get Randy versus Nick Aldis at WrestleMania?
Oh, so kind of, you know, me, BJ had this conversation before you joined us pre-show earlier, and I do have a theory. So we've been seeing these Smoky promos, which we have speculated were for Aleister Black.
Aleister Black.
You know, and it seems like they showed a date this week with that vignette that it connects it to the SmackDown after WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
What if that's a SmackDown return now, and Randy Orton just has a mystery opponent, a lot like Seth Rollins did 3-4 years ago with Cody Rhodes returning, and we get an Aleister Black return against Randy Orton at WrestleMania.
I'm fine with that. I just wish we had a way for Randy to get some storyline built up more than 2 weeks. That we have.
I was telling DG that when that happened, my first thought was, no, please don't put him in the Cody match.
So Mrs. Danger Ginger.
Oh boy.
What if the mystery opponent's Uncle Howdy? Let's just remember Bray Wyatt's last WrestleMania match was against Randy Orton.
But problem being with that, what is the Six gonna do?
They would all be a part. I would at that point would have the whole entire Wyatts as a part of it, and maybe you bring in Alexa Bliss at that point.
But like, there's no one tied to Orton. You know what I mean? Like,
but I'm looking at something to where, hey, there's past to be told, and it's something where you can hot shot a story because of the past. Randy Orton lit Bray Wyatt, lit the Fiend on fire, and that was the last time we saw the Fiend.
Right. And he burned down his
Alexa Bliss was a part of that. She's rumored to, whenever they do return, if Uncle Howdy is healthy, because I believe Bo Dallas is injured at the moment, which is why we haven't seen him.
No, I heard he's cleared a while.
Yeah, he's cleared now. Okay, if you have to hot shot something, a storyline real quick, you know, that's one way to do it.
I wouldn't be against that.
Maybe even an idea, what if Aleister Black were to join the Wyatts?
It gives them too many people.
I feel like that Aleister Black should be paired with Judgment Day.
That would make more sense, but I don't see him joining a group with no leader. I see him more as forming the faction and being the leader.
Yeah, but I think I have a feeling they're going to keep him solo for a while.
Yes.
Yeah, so do I.
Agreed.
So I guess it all depends on where we go after WrestleMania at this point. With drafts and stuff like that, that will probably be happening soon enough.
On that note, Aleister Black could always run in on behalf of Seth Rollins.
Sure, why not? He can fight over Buddy Matthews along with Rhea.
Rhea wins.
There we go.
Yes, because mommy's always on top.
Yep. Nothing Becky can do about it.
Yeah, where's she been, by the way?
She's a mom.
I mean, they keep saying that she's supposedly coming back. She signed a contract, but I know she has. She just signed on for like some type of other movie thing during her absence, and that she was filming with Paramount for a new Star Trek series coming out.
Got you.
But I think the Star Trek filming stuff has already started. If not, it's already done for that series. I'm not fully sure. I haven't seen anything about it recently, as I am a Star Trek fan. So yeah, I guess we've covered. So we're going to come back to the CM Punk thing. I think that's a nice little ender for the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure, we'll main event promo.
What, they do it, so why can't we?
Like I said.
So instead of talking about that, let's talk about Cody Rhodes and John Cena.
Sure.
So, because it looks like this past Monday was the last time we will have them face to face until WrestleMania in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. 3 weeks is the next SPO event. Yes. We get a lot of exchange of words between these guys. You know, some really good shots at each other, I would say, again this week. What did you guys, before you get to the end, the whole promo thing, what did you guys think of just the promo part stuff?
I think it was the best that they've had against each other so far, and which is where it should be at this point. You want to build up the right direction, not be like, oh yeah, we know we had a big war of words last week, but let's hug it out instead. So yeah, the
mention of Vince, not by name, but
yeah. Well, they don't talk about him anymore.
He who shall not be named.
Vince the Mort.
Like there was a lot of stuff said in this promo. That's a lot of truth too. Like Cody coming up, basically because the younger guys are usually the chauffeurs and the ones that drive around the veterans and stuff like that, and all that stuff. Like Cody admittedly, hey, I did use your playbook. Which it's not a bad playbook. It was the same playbook that was used for Hogan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, given you alter it over time, they make sure you connect with your fans still, but the same basic bullet points are hit. Cody and we've seen the comparison. Cody's had the exact same trajectory that Cena had a bit later on, but like the Brock Lesnar matches, losing to certain people and then overcoming that mountain. It was just ironic that, I guess, or coincidence that it was the same people. Yeah. I just love to mention that it's basically John Cena versus Stardust in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2015
Yeah, who's
again.
that matchup coming?
2016, whatever it was.
Him bringing up how fans became disenfranchised with the product, which was why he left and did his own thing. And he helped relight a fire within the pro wrestling world for fans. Because a lot of fans were probably ready to walk away if they hadn't already, because there was no real alternative to something close to WWE. You had TNA.
Because of him.
Because of Cody?
No, because of Cena.
Don't lie. You're the biggest Cena fan I know. See, look, proving it right there. But no, but how all this ends, Cena acting like he's going to leave the ring after they have a little bit of a face off, like they're going to fight. And then Cena going for the cheap shot, missing, having it countered by Cody into a crossroads with Cody standing tall. If this is their last face to face, what do we see for the next 2 weeks? And on top of that, typically when something like this happens, usually it's the person laid out that comes out on top in the end.
Yeah.
So are we really looking at John Cena winning number 17?
Yeah.
I can see it.
I
can definitely
first
see that
time I've
coming.
seen about Cena winning a title. Yeah.
Cody had a nice run of a year with the title.
And
Nothing
we
wrong
need
with
something to turn Cody heel.
Yeah. This could be the catalyst. Or, we've discussed this before. Cody loses it to Cena now, but wins it back, and that turns John face again somehow. Or is the catalyst for that?
Honestly, Cena winning the title at this point, it'll always be, because this is something that's been highly spoken about on Busted Open. This dude, Dave LaGreca, that he's a huge Ric Flair fan. He considers Ric Flair the greatest of all time. That is his GOAT. And that Cena 17 will never compare to Flair 16. The only comparison I'll make is of the eras. Cena did it all in one company. Ric Flair did not. And that adds to the era that Ric Flair was around and went to he's an NWA world champion, then WCW world champion, a WWF champion, and then back and won some more world titles with WCW. So, it was just a different era, there was a moment where it was exciting when I think it was Austin who did it first, or maybe it was Triple H when they tied Bret Hart for 5 WWF title reigns. Because at one point, Bret Hart had the most reigns in WWF history at 5. And we're only talking 30 years ago.
Yep.
Just
crazy.
But I could see Cena turning face and still having that championship. And maybe at the end, we get a heel Cody defeating a babyface Cena and sending him on his way.
Yeah, that's what I'm... Yeah.
I mean, personally, at that point, I would say let Cena retire with the championship and then let a heel Cody have to cheat his...
He's going to take it away from us.
Dude, all right, so I had this thought, and I think I said it to Chef a couple days ago. What if that Cena's last match is against CM Punk? It is the last day of the year. We get this match with him and Punk. Just like Money in the Bank, when Punk won the championship, blew the kiss goodbye, and left through the crowd in Chicago. What if Cena beats Punk and does the exact same thing and leaves with the WWF championship?
Oh, I'm sorry. The last day of the year is a Wednesday. They're going to have to both be all elite if that's going to happen.
Yeah, you know what? But you know what? We'll throw AEW a bone and the match can happen on Dynamite. It'll be the most ratings they'll ever get.
Yeah, both of them get fired, and all of a sudden.
No, so let's say it was that Monday, right? And that's the last match he's going to have, right? And he just leaves through the crowd just like that. Like a symbolic storytelling of something from 12, 13, 14 years ago coming back around. And that Cena did to Punk what Punk did to him. And this time it's doing it not just to Punk, but to all us fans. We get a new WWF championship belt. It gives you a reason to redesign the championship and actually have a modern day looking one instead of one that looks like what we've had this basic design for 12, 13 years now. Just the big,
that.
Yeah, you could bring back the butterfly championship for the men instead of for the divas,
Oh, yeah.
I know what he was getting.
Oh, what I was
forgot about the
getting
Bucks
at was this is the
championship.
Washington Capitals logo because on a little side note,
Alexander Ovechkin did it
today.
one game quicker to get to, what was it, tying it or beating it?
to beating it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did it one day faster than Gretzky.
No.
It happened
But the
today.
thing is, Gretzky total games the same. Gretzky didn't score his last goal. He had 13 games played after his last goal scored.
Oh, no, I saw something where it was like they tied. It was either they tied or Ovechkin got to lead by one, but it was like one day apart of how many days it took them playing or games or whatever.
Right. No. It's not how many. Yeah, it's total career games. What they don't tell you is Gretzky didn't score a goal for his last 13 games.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, congratulations, the grade
Yeah.
8. I've hated you your whole career, but in that way that only a Philly fan can hate you. If you were here, it'd be a whole different story.
You hate him because you ain't him.
I wouldn't say
Gotta
that.
like him more than Sidney Crosby, though.
He's a little
Oh, that's a good point. As a Flyers fan, who do you hate more, Alexander Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby?
Crosby all day.
Okay.
I hate Crosby.
Yeah.
Crosby
all
sucks.
Day. Yeah.
You know what?
Where's his record?
You know what? I can actually talk on this. One of the few hockey things I can talk about, but I don't want to get into that right now.
Yeah, sorry.
Since somebody brought up Rocky moments earlier, kind of reminded me of what Gunter did to Jimmy after their match, like and how that ends. That's some Rocky 4. Yeah,
I will break you.
He dies. He dies.
Yeah. Gunter
that was
now
brutal. That
attacking Jimmy where it hurts.
It was one of the rare occasions in recent memory where not the hard way use of blood. Like that seemed like scripted into that to happen, where he just puts Jimmy's blood all over him. Oh, that was so well done. And now you're giving Jimmy a reason to refocus. Now you just gave him the reason and the motivation.
Jay.
Yeah, Jay, I'm sorry. The motivation. And it potentially also could put Jimmy out past up until WrestleMania, where we don't see him anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse me. Just real quick as well before we move on to the next thing. This whole Judgment Day thing, even though they defeated Braun Breaker and Penta due to a miscommunication, we're seeing the seeds of them breaking up starting to bloom now, and it looks like it's Liv Morgan, the one watering them.
Braun's keeping this belt. Judgment Day's breaking up. That's all there's to it. And then as soon as Judgment Day breaks up, I wouldn't mind if Liv dumped Dom, and that causes him to have a whole storyline. That could be fun, interesting.
You know what? Hear me out here. If I was looking at the Raw roster, say after WrestleMania, you give say you go through that angle. By the time you get there, maybe it's June, July. What if I were to take Dominic and be like, I'm going to pair him with somebody. I want to tag team him right now to lead to something else, maybe a face turn at some point. What if you paired him and Logan Paul up together as a tag team, chasing the tag team championship?
I hate them both, and that would be a perfect hateable tag team.
Exactly. And then he just gets tired of Logan's shit, and then he's the one to turn babyface on him to lead to a nice little feud between them.
I like it, but it wouldn't take that to turn Dominic face.
No, but I'm looking at, because if I'm going to do the breakup angle, I would want to keep them both heel. So I would kind of have him be the one to leave Liv in some really weird way. Like him and Logan Paul were at a club and video got out of him dancing with another chick or something, something weird. I
like it.
That's
some good ass.
Because then it's kind of like, hey, you're bringing a little bit of real world stuff into it, and now we have this really easily
staying with his own
hateable
wife.
tag team. That would be beautiful, especially if she agreed to be part of the story in some fashion and it was on TV. Oh, that would be wonderful. We see all three of Dom's women at some point throughout this entire story on TV. That's just perfect. That is perfection. And then our Raw, speaking of Logan Paul, we got him and AJ Styles officially booked for WrestleMania.
I like it.
We also had
Should be a good match.
I know we kind of talked about it last week, but it looks like real quick to go back, the triple threat with Roman Punk, that whole triple threat's going to main event night 1 to let Cody and Cena have night 2. I mean, it makes sense. We talked about it last week, but if I felt like there was anything that could overtake even that moment, it's this match. Like, if we're going, like, I think afterwards, when we compare these two main events, like if we were to compare them side by side, I think the triple threat's going to be the better of the two.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And that's nothing against the guys on the other side. But sticking with Raw at the moment, the women's championship match from this past week on Raw with special referee Bianca Belair for Rhea and Io.
DQ.
I can't do
Double
this
DQ
anymore.
finish.
On
Yeah, you knew that there was going to be shenanigans in this one just because it was Bianca as the special ref. Yeah. She had to have been looking for an excuse to screw over both of these women, and this was the best way she could. Double DQ.
It's not even. I don't even feel like it's an excuse to screw over both women. It's an excuse to screw over Rhea Ripley because Rhea Ripley's the threat to her. She doesn't see Io as a threat, and that's been made clear the entire time. To where Rhea, we've seen their matches. I think Rhea recognizes Io as a threat, but not as the bigger threat at the moment as Bianca Belair, because Belair's literally put her nose where she doesn't belong.
So question. So what's the heel face dynamic in this match? Because I see them all as faces.
Right
Bianca's
now,
the heel.
But I can also put in a light to where maybe Rhea's the heel because she's the one crying. She like the same thing I said about Seth Rollins. She's the one
who didn't earn her way in.
Crying. She's into a contract. Yeah, like she's bullying her way into the match.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, rightfully so after what happened this past week on Raw and Bianca calling for a double DQ where, number one, let's make this clear. There were 2 moments in the match where both competitors accidentally hit her. And then I think there was Rhea in between both those has slapped Bianca or something along those lines. So even with that, it was kind of like, so you let that go, but you disqualified both of them. You do understand if you wanted your match to stay one-on-one, there had to be a winner, right? Without no winner. No, I argued that because of the referee's incompetence and not knowing how to keep her cool, because she is not a regular referee, is that Rhea Ripley was, again, by Bianca Belair, screwed out of an opportunity to have a spot at WrestleMania. And now, because there was no winner in that match, Rhea should be added to the match to make it a triple threat.
Well,
Run it again.
It's been headed.
What was that?
Run it again. Run the match again. Bianca, referee again. Run the match back.
Why? So Bianca can just come out. You might as well just put all 3 of them in the ring together and let it get sorted out at WrestleMania. With this WrestleMania weekend, this is triple threat of mania. All right. That's what it is. Yeah. Every match for WWE or NXT has a triple threat match on the card at this point.
As soon as they announced that Randy Orton is going to be added to the Cena and Cody match.
Yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening. That match
you don't
has to stay one
You
on
don't need
one.
story build up. You just need Randy peeking over at the belt, and then of course the history with Cena and Randy. You know.
No. But
It
Nick
writes
Aldis
itself.
will. But then Nick Aldis will come out, tell him no. He'll get RKO'd, but this time because it was an RKO at WrestleMania, he'll owe him $100,000.
Well, second, third offense. You know,
Yeah.
he's a repeat offender. The fines go up. I know.
But no, this match is. I think this was the last thing they kind of needed to justify making it the triple threat. And in all honesty, I'm kind of on where I want to say Rhea's the heel, but that she has a reason to be upset. And because if Bianca Belair wasn't at ringside for the initial match with Io, and Rhea lost cleanly, she would probably try to still get into the match, but she would also work her way back to it. She wouldn't be doing what she's doing now.
Yeah.
As compared to Bianca, she's done everything in her power to discredit Rhea in the situation.
So Sky's the only face,
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
but is getting the least cheers from the crowd.
Well, that let's be honest, that's mostly because Rhea's involved. Otherwise, Bianca would be the clear heel in this match, and I just don't think they want to pull that full trigger yet. And this could be a lead up to it. Like maybe at WrestleMania, Bianca does some type of heel thing to win the championship. God, I hope not, since I just put that into the universe.
We're going to see a full heel turn. I just don't know who it's going to be. One of the three is go heel.
I wouldn't mind if it was Io, since that's the least one we're talking about to turn heel.
Right.
Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, boy, that women's situation we're going to see probably fully unfold this upcoming week, and we're going to get the full setup for it. Oh, look who is in the chat!
Hey, what is up?
Hey. How you doing? Our agent is in the chat.
I was thinking about drinking that beer you gave me tonight, but it's too late now.
Is that one going to be more fun than the one you had earlier?
Oh, yeah. It's a 12% mint chocolate stout, and it's like that big.
So,
12%.
We have one more thing to talk about, I think, here before we jump back to talking about the whole Roman Punk Rollins thing, and that is Stephanie Vaquer this week vacating the Women's North American Championship, which was something when that whole match with Julia was going to happen, we speculated on and everything. Yeah. And like I said, I thought
way to split the belts.
And I do like that we did get at least one show with her defending both championships before the idea of this is an unrealistic thing to be asked of you to do type deal, you know. I like how it kind of played out, is that she's relinquishing it with the idea that she gets to pick who her challenger is at Stand and Deliver, which from the looks is either going to be Jordynne Grace or Jada Parker. I think they might have a match coming up this upcoming week, but if not, yeah, they do. I'm definitely looking forward to that. We had now that the belt will be up for grabs in the traditional North American Championship 6-person ladder match. This year, again, it's the women, where we had Zarya defeat Lash Legend to qualify. And then I think we had Kalani Jordan over Roxanne Perez.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that this week. Also, the big shocker from NXT, I would say more than vacating the championship, Ricky Saints defeating Shawn Spears to win the North American Championship for the men. And then Ethan Page, who also appeared on TNA this week, who will be getting a shot at the TNA Championship at Rebellion, attacks Ricky Saints after that match.
If Joe Hendry's healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, that I believe. All right. I freaking fracking believe.
Hey, what's up, all things wrestling?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, yo.
You know
Um,
who I am.
yeah. So who do you think that Jordan Grace is going to face at Stand and Deliver? Are we maybe looking at another triple threat? God, I hope not. Or
Jordan Grace, I think, is going to be going for the women's title against Stephanie Vaquer.
is that just by name? More that Jordan Grace would be the more known name
No, I
at this
think
point.
Jordan Grace gets the win against Jada Parker, and proves herself as worthy of the title shot. I'm not sure that she wins it. I'm not sure she gets that, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be Jordan Grace in that title shot.
You know, I almost feel like I would do some type of screwy finish so that you can save that Jordan Grace Vaquer match for after Stand and Deliver. Like maybe try to hold off on it a little bit longer. Let's clear up what storylines are going right now. Because there's a lot of clash of storylines with those championships right now. Like Jada, even though Jada Parker did get her shot, so I think Jordan Grace should be next in line, and it looks like that's where they're going. But NXT has a lot of cross storylines going, like even with Dark State and then Oba, Javon Evans, and Trick. There's a lot of crossover.
Yeah, Dark State's definitely making their presence felt in the best, most impactful way possible that they can.
Yeah.
This is what Retribution should have been.
Absolutely. 100%. So were you guys surprised about Ricky Saints this week winning the championship so quick?
Not really. They haven't shied away from giving new guys their shine. Look at what they did with the Motor City Machine Guns. Three matches and they won their belts.
Yeah, they're not against hotshotting.
Yeah. I'm good with it.
We had another week of Tony Khan TK fumble chants also in the NXT arena.
Yeah, a lot of that going around.
Yes, Eddie, I do agree. Lots of good wrestling shows. Yes.
And lots coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be interesting to see how Stand and Deliver stacks up that card.
Yeah.
Because we have the triple threat for the NXT championship now at Stand and Deliver, which, boy, that's going to be, I don't see Javon Evans winning that, but boy, is it a chance for him to truly prove himself that he belongs.
Put on a good show.
Yeah, I think it's Trick's swan song, personally. I think he's main roster bound. Their promo this week where Evans called him Carmelo, called him, man.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that Trick essentially said what Mello said to him. Like,
yeah.
Word for word. Mm-hmm. That was a great callback in that promo. And then when they packaged it together to be seen online and stuff, absolutely great.
Yep. So, yeah, Obafemi, I don't see him relinquishing that title anytime soon.
No. Not. I mean, there's a couple people I wouldn't mind seeing it go, but we got to get to this next chapter now after WrestleMania.
Yep.
Oh, I like that, Eddie. Dream match that I would love to see since they're doing crossovers on TNA NXT would be the Javon Evans versus Leon Slater. That is a match I would like to see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
All right, well, shall we get to this promo?
Yeah.
Let's get to this main event.
You know, it's pretty bad because I did say this about this whole triple threat match. I didn't think CM Punk belonged in it, but I knew I was going to enjoy everything going on with it, which is exactly what's been happening. But I still wish we had Roman Seth one-on-one, and I will continue to say that, as I feel like that's a bigger story to tell. And that if you wait too long, you're never going to get to the match. Same thing with Roman Rock. We wanted it for so long. We had the opportunity and we didn't get it.
We will.
CM Punk opens up the show this week. You know, the typical whole thing, putting himself over, putting the crowd over. We
Chicago, so that's expected.
yeah, we get Heyman coming
Mentions
out.
of AJ Lee and Larry.
Yeah, which by the way, I absolutely love. It's like Bret Hart mentioning his cat every time he cut a promo after winning a championship. Absolutely great. Love it. We get Heyman out and talking about now things going on. You know, they bring up what the MSG the week before MSG, where Heyman asked Punk to take him along with them, to take him away from the bloodline. And then him bring Punk to come back for War Games when Punk was deciding saying, "Hey, I might not come back. I might be done now." You know, which I thought that was framed really well to explain why he hadn't been around or heard from whatsoever. And we get Heyman asking him for a favor to know what this favor is. We're told we will find out when Roman arrives. So then now we fast forward to the main segment for SmackDown.
Well, we had a black truck pull up somewhere in the middle of the show.
Yeah,
misdirect.
While Heyman was being interviewed.
Yep, and Paul Heyman's getting interviewed, and Seth Rollins pops out instead. So that was fun. And then, of course, Roman shows up at the end of the show and just walks straight out of the car, straight into the ring. So,
yeah, I mean, the Roman thing to do, right? I'm here. Let's go do this.
Yep.
You know,
he gets out there. He and Paul are just out there, just having their usual conversation and trying to figure out what this could be that the favor is. And they call for CM Punk to come out there, and music hits, but it's Seth Rollins' music. So
yeah, I mean, which
so
you know,
Seth
you
comes
figure
out.
that's
He has
happen,
his whole
right?
yeah. Oh, you had to know. So, but then we get Seth and Roman having their face-to-face talking bout, and finally CM Punk, our third combatant, enters the ring, and we get just the entire full bore CM Punk, not quite a pipe bomb, but damn sure close. BJ, what is your takeaway from this whole thing, man?
I mean, I just can't wait for the match. Like,
yeah.
It's done its job. Like, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this.
There was a lot to take out of this whole thing, right? Because you have Roman coming out and talking about bringing Punk back, right? Mm-hmm. And everything that happened with Heyman and stuff like that. Then you had Seth come out going over their history again. You know, their history with WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And Rollins telling Roman, "You're underestimating Punk." Rollins tried to warn him. You know, and the whole speculation of everything we've speculated about the favor, you know, coming down to the ring with him for a championship match, this and that. And then we get CM Punk out, who starts, which was something that even Roman brought up, right? Was loyalty and stuff like that, you know. And CM Punk brings this up. He brings up the history of him and Heyman going all the way back to OVW. Mm-hmm. Of when Punk first got signed, and then going through the ECW days when they rebooted the brand for WWE, and just going through everything. And then we even kind of get the idea of him bringing up that, hey, you remember when you told me you were going to walk down to the ring with me in the main event of WrestleMania? You know, and WWE, who has done a good job of packaging that together, and other fans online and stuff like that. And that he's taking Roman out of his comfort zone, and the favor being called in that Paul Heyman will be going and being the advocate, because not the wise man in this case. He will now be the advocate to CM Punk at WrestleMania, and he will be in the corner of Punk and not Roman Reigns. Boy, and then
Roman tried to tell Paul to tell him no, but Paul
and this
just
is
Paul told the tribal chief no.
there's a lot of things that happen. Is like Roman almost seeming like he's the same Roman from 2.5-3 years ago again, right? Like we felt like we got this turn for War Games, but was it just to get the Ulafala back? To get that tribal chief status back, because now we look, Jay's in a championship match, whether it's the main event or not. He's in a world title match. Roman's just in a match. It's the main event, but it's not for a world championship. He doesn't have Jimmy anymore. He doesn't have Solo anymore. Now he doesn't have Heyman at the moment.
Yeah.
And Roman trying to let this fool off gently, like let him down gently. Don't hurt his feelings. And Paul Heyman turning to him with tears.
Just the looks that Paul Heyman makes. Just,
Oh,
his
God.
face sells everything.
Oh, yeah.
And just the moment that he told Roman no. Real quick, Eddie, I brought this up last week. Yeah, I brought this up last week. Whether they name it a number one contenders match or not, the winner of this match should be the number one contender to whatever championship on whatever show. It doesn't matter, but they should be a number one contender. And it's him telling his tribal chief, I can't do that due to his loyalty, his friendship, and his word he gave to Punk that he has to keep his word. That now Paul Heyman is torn in this situation. Like, and I've said from the beginning, I think WrestleMania is going to be one of those matches where it's going to crowd reaction line up with Rock Hogan. The way the crowd is going to react to this. Because I kept saying, I want a match that's going to tear the crowd apart. Like, nothing has torn the crowd out of this match yet. They are for all three guys just being in the ring together. And it's something wonderful for pro wrestling is that we don't necessarily have, whether a guy is acting like a heel or not, getting booed. We just know what we're going to get with three of the best guys in the last decade stepping in the ring together on the biggest show possible, on the biggest platform possible. Because the only
you even
real
heard that. Yeah, you even heard that during the promo. The crowd was chanting everyone's names and songs at different points.
We even had Chicago start doing the soccer chant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Roman Reigns. Thought we were done with the European
and then,
style.
we get a moment where Roman corners Heyman into the corner, and Punk was not having it. And he just straight goes after Roman, hits the GTS, and then he turns around. We get the face off with him and Rollins. Rollins just laughing and then leaves because Rollins saw this all coming. Oh, yeah. And he's been warning everybody, and no, I'm not saying either between Rollins and Punk who's the face, who's the heel, because it seems like it's more of a personal problem than a heel versus face type thing, which, hey, that's good. That's just as good for me. There's not going to be a defined bad guy in the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing that's been speculated across the board from fans, even myself, thinking that because Heyman is not a manager of baby faces, unless we're starting to see the hints of a heel Roman at the moment.
Well, none of them are faces.
None of them are heels, neither.
Right.
Anti-faces.
Like, I really wouldn't know what to call them all here, because Seth Rollins seems like he's slowly transitioning into the next part of whatever he's doing. Which also, by the way, I don't know if you guys caught this week. The boots that Seth Rollins was wearing were Bray Wyatt's boots.
Yeah, I did see that.
So that's always something nice to see as well. I've speculated about Heyman turning on both guys because they're so unaware of everything else going around them now.
Mm-hmm.
That, hey, you're forgetting there's a third guy here. You know, just like the idea. The only guy in the past 15 years Heyman really needed to be with was Brock. Heyman never needed to be with Punk. He never needed to be with Roman. But look what it did. It added so much to guys who could already be on the mic, to guys who could do all this stuff and not need that mouthpiece.
There were also a couple people he was with who just failed completely.
I mean, out of all of them, Curtis Axel was a detriment to himself. The other guy I'm not even mentioning by names. I don't want his name to be mentioned on this platform because he's a moron.
This is the genesis of the beginning.
Do you want to go in the penalty box, sir? Because I will put you in the penalty box.
I've done nothing wrong, sir.
Well, you know, that never stopped me before. But yeah, after this past week on SmackDown, I feel like maybe right now, Punk is the favorite to win. Without taking into account stuff that we could speculate that could happen, like a Heyman turn joining Seth or something like that. If we go by the information we've been given at the moment and not just dirt sheet or fan speculation, which most of the times ruins moments for fans because they build it up in their head as it was the only way it could happen. And then they crap all over it because their fantasy booking didn't happen.
Yeah, and also on a different note, I mean, it's a whole new era. Like, the dirt sheets aren't getting the same information that they were during the McMahon regime.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, and Meltzer's still a tool, so things are right in the world.
I think if you were to put odds on like everyone in this match, Vegas style, I think Punk would probably be the current favorite, Roman in the middle, and then Rollins at the back of the pack.
Yeah. This is one of those matches where you could plot out different ways for everybody to go after this match, but it almost feels like two of these guys are going to be feuding coming out of WrestleMania. So is it Seth Punk or Roman Punk? And we kind of step back from Seth Punk or Seth Roman to give some time and maybe start a build to next year's WrestleMania for that match.
For what match?
Oh, dude, that would be a huge. London is They didn't announce next year's WrestleMania yet, did they?
Like what location?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I know Indy's supposed to get WrestleMania at some point in the next couple years. I can quickly look that up.
Didn't that just happen?
Oh yeah, WrestleMania 42, New Orleans.
Okay. Right. The Rock announced that.
Yes. See, it almost like with the Seth Punk dynamic, does it almost set up Roman to take advantage of that and win? Like, Roman would be the one to take advantage of that, right? Because it's almost like Seth doesn't care if Roman wins. He wants to make sure Punk doesn't win.
Yeah, but he also has beef with Roman.
I mean, and Seth's never beaten Roman in a one-on-one match.
Done. I thought it was Hacksaw Jim Duggan before I saw the type. Oh, maybe not.
I don't know. It looks like his pants are referee pants.
Look at the wristband.
It's a wristband. I can't. Hold on. Oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing
Man,
here.
y'all suck.
Oh yeah, okay.
Now you know who it is.
First I thought Hacksaw Jim Duggan, then Big John Studd.
So,
Nah, man. Seth Rollins.
so we have pretty much talked. Just real quick to bring up, how do you guys feel about the TNA Digital Media Championship now being retired and TNA introducing an international championship?
I'm good with it. Digital
Yeah.
media doesn't really have the same pull to it as it might have a few years ago. And yeah, if you want that championship in there as something else, I'm good with rebranding it and taking it, retiring it, and creating a new international championship. The way they're doing it, they're having the tournament with these three-way dances, and yeah, so far so good. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So then I guess it is time for us to give dun 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 our match of the week. And there were some good matches this week. I have a couple different ones that I put a nice little mark next to consider. So, Chef, let's start with you. What was your match of the week this week?
Was that me? You broke up for a second.
Match of the week. You go. Bam.
Yeah. All right, me. Match of the week. Well, I'm actually going to NXT for my match. There were two really strong candidates for match of the week on here. First of which was the women's match between Kalani Jordan and Roxy Perez. This one really, really was going to take my match of the week until Shawn Spears versus Ricky Saints happened. That match was excellent. I really enjoyed that title match. Just having Ricky win that and get the belt in his third match there just made it that much better. My match of the week, Shawn versus Ricky Saints. Ricky Saints winning the North American.
All right, all right. So, BJ, on to you.
If I had seen this one, I totally forgot that was on last night. I did not watch it. I'll probably end up watching it tonight. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to Friday night. There were two matches that really stood out from Friday night. Machine Guns DIY. Come on,
That was a
Hard
really
Rock.
good match.
But Last Man Standing, two meaty men just slapping beef, like it doesn't get better than that. That's that was my match of the week. It was just two giants just knocking each other down and trying to get back up.
All right. Almost every show kind of had a candidate for me this week. From Raw, a candidate for me was the Judgment Day against Braun Breaker and Penta match. I thought that was a really good match. The Women's World Championship match from Raw was one I considered as well. NXT, one of the ones was Zarya versus Lash Legend in a qualifier match. I thought that match was really good for the two of the powerhouse women in that division. And it was a really good showing for both of them. I also have as a candidate the men's North American Championship match because, boy, I did not expect Ricky. I expected some type of screwy finish for that match. Not necessarily a pinfall loss for Saints, but something along those lines. From Smackdown, I thought about the men's tag, the number one contenders match, but those two teams have been doing it so consistently. It's kind of been what I expect from them. So it's not like they're stepping out of that light into a brighter light than the one they're already in. But that last man standing match, boy, that was an absolutely killer match. But I think my match of the week is the World Women's Championship match. I thought there was a lot in that of storytelling wise with Bianca and everything. Because of this scene, we got to the end of that match. She just kept being in the wrong place, and it's her fault. And it's now her fault that match is going to become a triple threat. So thank you, Bianca Belair, for giving us a second triple threat match at WrestleMania, because that's what we want, is a show of all triple threat matches.
Wait till they put Orton in the Cody Rhodes and John Cena match.
Oh.
Only if Randy wins. But no, yeah, my match of the week is the Women's World Heavyweight Championship match from Raw. I thought those women went out there and did a really good job, even with having somebody like Bianca Belair as the referee of that match, who shouldn't even have been in that spot. And I don't know what Alan Pierce was thinking putting her there.
He probably wasn't. He just needed a drink.
Somebody needs to go RKO him. That extra 50 grand fine should have been used for him. But that last man standing match is just literally because that was what I expected from it. I expected match of the week candidate from that.
Yeah.
And it lived up to expectation. Nothing against it at all whatsoever. Oh, whoops.
Well,
what is going on here? Oh, okay. There we go.
Oh, God.
I guess just real quick now, just to remind everybody, starting with the Raw Go Home show for WrestleMania week, we will be live doing watch-alongs. Some combination of us throughout the week for some of these shows, as we might not all of us be available at the same exact time, but that WrestleMania week, we will be doing that Raw, NXT, and SmackDown Go Home shows, and then Stand and Deliver, night 1 of WrestleMania, night 2 of WrestleMania, and the Raw after Mania. Hell, maybe if we're feeling froggy, we might do the SmackDown after Mania too. If we're feeling froggy, we might leave. We'll see.
7 days and 7 days.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot for us to cover. So it'll be an interesting schedule, which will be put out soon of when we'll be going live and stuff like that.
Sorry, 6 shows in 7 days. No, 7 shows in 7 days, yeah.
Yeah, they're just spread out. It all then a few spread out, and then everything in the bulk of the weekend. And there's plenty of wrestling. TNA has a show that Wednesday night, Unbreakable. And then all these lovely graphics you see, and one upcoming you'll see, brought to you by Eclipse Graphics. Need some new graphics? Needs some new creative minds behind what you want to see? Contact them by email at eclipsegraphics1@gmail.com or at Instagram at eclipse_graphics, and graphics has an X at the end of it. Not a C.
I wonder if they know any good lawyers I could find.
Well, I'm not going to say they might, but there are some guys we do know, because the Fly Lawyer, who is a lawyer in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe, will be on Spodcast tomorrow night. And oh boy, that whole thing transitioned into something else. Okay. Which, by the way, rumor has it that he's seen this graphic and thinks it's the greatest graphic he has ever seen.
Love it.
Yeah, he just drips, man. He'll be on the podcast tomorrow.
Yes, and SpoWrestling.com for Spocast, or Johnny Cashmere on social media between Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that. And then while you're there, if you're at SpoWrestling.com, you can get tickets for their next event with the double main event of Simon Gotch and Drew Gulak going one-on-one,
Technical
and then
there.
Rick Blade versus Face for the SPO championship.
Just going to be a bruising affair.
I know I say this about every SPO show, but I cannot wait for this show. So many
They
good
get better
matches,
every
so much
time.
more to be announced.
Yeah, they really do.
Like, I would go just for these two matches alone. But then we got
And we get a whole bunch more.
What's that?
And we get a whole bunch more matches than that, even.
Much.
I mean,
We're getting
we
the
got,
Battle Royal.
yeah, got a 25-man battle royal to crown a new Silver Skywalker champion.
So
I
that's
can't wait.
coming up in 3 weeks. 2 weeks, we got WrestleMania. 1 week, we start our marathon of shows leading up to WrestleMania. All right. On that note, gentlemen, I think it's time to bid everyone adieu. Ring the bell. Let's get out of here.
Nah, man, we can't ring the bell. I broke it over somebody's head.
Well, damn it. I guess I'll just have to ring your head then.
Not quite ripe yet. After 41 years, I'm still waiting for it to ripen. What can I say?
Some take longer than others.
Mine are bad.
But yes, everybody be good to each other. Go enjoy some wrestling, and don't forget to join us WrestleMania week, because it's going to be a lot of us on your screens. Anybody got anything else they like to say before we get out of here and go watch? Well, I'm going to watch Dynasty. I don't know about you guys.
Start off with 0 Hour, which has already started off.
Have a good night, Eddie.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in, being part of the chat today as well. Like I said, be good to each other, and we'll see you right here next week for another episode of BJ and DG Talk Wrestling.
Hey, I'm Livewire Charlie.
And I'm Dangerous.
And we are Live Danger.
And you're watching
BJ
and DG
Talk Wrestling.